Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Tales of the Valiant CR Exposed. On today's episode we are looking at the Fire Giant, a CR9 huge giant, which is a little redundant. It's not a giant? I don't know. Or that would be redundant, but still a huge giant. It's like an anti-oxymoron. I don't know. In any event, let's talk about the business before we get into this Fire Giant's pants. Giggity. The business is, if you'd like to get this tool to make yourself some perfectly balanced Tales of the Valiant monsters, then go ahead and click on the link in the description for my Ko-fi page where you can get this tool completely for free. Or, if you feel so inclined to, you can donate as well to help support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, if you'd like to donate in other ways, you can join the membership page here for the channel, which you will get early access to videos just like this one that was set up for members. And you can also get the Tales of the Valiant conversion monsters from 5th edition. So I'm converting 5th edition monsters that aren't currently present in Tales of the Valiant. And, for fun, you get a video, and you also get the PDF to use for the for your games. I may also be looking at including some Foundry tokens as well, some Foundry character sheets. I don't know, haven't quite decided on that one yet or not, because that takes a little bit of extra work to get everything right. And beyond that, if you'd like to request a monster for Tales of the Valiant CR Exposed, you can leave a comment on the video, because I don't have a Google form, and appeasing the YouTube algorithm overlords would be super helpful to help spread the word and get these videos out to other players that maybe only play D&D, and maybe they should be playing Tales of the Valiant, because it's a better game system. In any event, now that the business is out of the way, let's deep dive into these Fire Giant CR short stuff things, whatever. Let's take a look at the CR. So we're going to go ahead and adjust for a CR9, which we are expecting to see a 15 to 17 AC, proficiency bonus of 4, 195 hit points unadjusted, 79 attack bonus, 62 to 67 DPR or damage per round, and 15 to 17 save difficulty check. With that set up, let's go ahead and start putting in our modifiers, which is going to be a 7, a 3, a 10 Constitution, a 0 Intelligence, 2 Wisdom, and 8 Charisma. Oh, I somehow missed something there. Okay. Wow, that's a pretty handsome Fire Giant. I'm surprised the Fire Giants have such a huge Charisma. I'm pretty sure their 5th edition cousins do not. Now, let's take a look at some other stuff here. With our armor class here, we have an 18 from the plate. Our AC currently is just a 13 from a dexterity, but the plate is bringing it up to an 18, so we're going to go ahead and just adjust that to a 5. And then we are looking for 175 hit points. At the moment, we are expecting 195 for CR9. So this means we have some negative modifiers that are being accounted for here. At the moment, we currently have 488 hit points, but that's because certain things like damage haven't been accounted for at the moment, because my tool does a lot of automation for us, which is fantastic. I might have to see if I can do something like that for 5th edition. I don't think there's really a way to automate anything on that, sadly. But anyways, we do have some other items here. Our speed is 30, so we don't have to account for the speed. We also have giant attributes for vulnerability and resistances. We'll look at those in a minute. We are immune to fire, because duh. And we'll come down to here and throw in fire right there. And then we have languages, senses, don't care about all that garbage. Now, we do have giant attributes, which is this section here, and the Fire Giant is resistant to being stunned. Resistant to being stunned, perfect. I do know how to English, I think. So we have resistance to stunned, and is vulnerable to the prone condition. Wow, really? That's fascinating. So we will go ahead and grab the prone condition. We are vulnerable, which means we have disadvantage on any prone condition checks. And this, does it give us any kind of modifier for vulnerabilities? Yes. But only if we have 3. So at the moment, we're not actually getting any negatives here from having just 1 in each section, which is really surprising, except for the damage. We do have this one here. So any monsters CR19 or lower that have only 1 type of damage to which it is resistant to or immune, we reduce it by 10 rather than 8, or by 5 rather than 10. There we go. So we do have 1 modifier there so far, and its AC is above the expected as well. Wait, no. For every 1 AC that is above the minimum. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. That's correct. We should be seeing that because our highest is 17 and our AC is an 18. That means we have a 1 step higher in our defensive CR, and we are getting -5 hit points for that. Or 5%, not 5 hit points. So at the moment we have a total of -10, but we have a bonus of 5 at the moment because our damage hasn't been calculated for. Speaking of damages, let's move into the action section where we have the multi-attack. The fire giant makes 2 flaming greatsword or lava boulder attacks. Wow, a giant that can throw more than 1 boulder. Surprising. Okay, with that, we are looking for 11 attack bonus from our flaming greatsword, which we do have, which means we don't have any kind of proficiency saves for our strength. And everything is accounted for there. We have 7 plus 4, giving us an 11. And the expected range is 7 to 9, which means our attack bonus is really high. Yes, technically this should be accounted for. And I'm going to suggest that you as a player, because I've already talked to Kobold Press about this, they don't take it into an account. We should be taking this into account. If you've seen my other videos, having a higher attack bonus makes these monsters even that much more deadly. It's just like the AC. Having a higher AC makes it harder for players to attack monsters. It's the reverse for attack bonuses. This makes it easier for our monsters to attack, and if our monster has an expected value of 7 to 9, either we need to reduce the strength or we need to take into the account the higher bonus here. So technically we should be reducing this by an extra 10%. So I'll be taking a look at that at the end of the video here. Moving on from there and getting off my soapbox, about the one thing I have a complaint with, we have our greatsword of 66 plus 7 for our strength, giving us a total of 28, plus 4 damage for fire. All that one little extra bit of fire damage. So silly. In any event, we're going to go ahead and throw that in for our first attack, and that'll be 28 plus 4.5, giving us 32.5 for our flaming greatsword. Now, let's come over here, take a quick look at our giant, which is really good artwork. I like the artwork for this monster. We have our lava boulder, which has plus 7. So, if we wanted to, I guess they're expecting us to either throw... Maybe, I think I know what they're doing here. What might be happening is actually they maybe are adjusting for the average here. And because we have 7 for the boulder and we have an 11 for our strength, the average would be a 3, or not a 3, the average would be a 9, which is right on the mark here. So if we are throwing boulders, we're expecting a 7. If we're swinging the greatsword, we're expecting 11. On average, if you're doing both, then, we would be seeing a 9. So in theory, we won't bother modifying then. But if you're only using the greatsword, we'll take a look at that at the end anyways. But because of this, I will suggest that, it's an average between the two. So let's go ahead and take a look for our damage here. We have 3d10 for the boulder, and we're using dexterity to throw it, giving us 19.5, and then we're getting an additional 3d8 fire damage. Why does the sword not have the same amount of fire damage? What is going on here? 1d8 for our sword, which is a massive sword, but all of a sudden the boulder itself is doing more damage. Okay. In any event, 3d8 for our fire damage off of the boulder for 13.5, and we are chucking the boulder for a total of, I don't even want to do the math. It's a lot of math. 33. So, ironically enough, the damage is basically even. Although we do round down for the attacks here, 32 and 33, it's basically the same at this point. It doesn't really matter all that much. And for our multi-attacks, it was what? Let me just take a look at this again. It was two great swords or lava boulder attacks. Yeah, 2. So that works there. We will go ahead and do that. It's not really going to be much different. So either 65 here or 66 here. Okay. And then we also have a volcanic burst, recharge of 5 to 6, which means we should only be seeing this 1 out of every 3 rounds of combat. Not that it really matters in Tales of the Valiant. We don't calculate every 3 rounds of combat. It's still just kind of like a thing from 5th edition because I've been doing it for 4+ years now. The fire giant expels a built-up heat from within itself, sending a blast of lava outwards. Each creature within 15 feet of the fire giant must make a dex save. On a fail, they take 36 fire damage. So we are looking at a 15-foot aura, and this is a multi-target hit. I'll just use that last slot there for the sake of it. 8d8 damage, 36 in total. The aura effect is going to be popped in there. Short range, let's see here. 15 or less feet radius. So our radius is actually 15 feet, which means we don't get the short range bonus for this, and we are going to be dealing, in theory, 72 points of damage. Now, the funny part about this is that when you look at the rules, it suggests you calculate for 1 fail and 2 passes. It's the same thing as calculating for 2 fails. So, on average, it all works out to be the same. We're going to leave this as it is. And the target is knocked prone as a rider for this. Creatures that succeed take half damage, aren't knocked prone. The creature that fails a save has a disadvantage on the next save it makes against the giant's pyroclastic surge before the start of the giant's next turn. Oh, pyroclastic surge, here we go. So for a bonus action, we're going to be looking at this surge here. And a burst of volcanic gas and rock fragments flow in a 60-foot line that is 5 feet wide from the fire giant's outstretched hand. Each creature in the line, wow, this is a bonus, okay, must succeed on a dex save or be poisoned. Poisoned? Volcanic gas? Okay, that makes sense. Until the end of its next turn and pushed 15 feet away from the giant. Okay, since this... Oh, wow, we also have... petrified in volcanic ash for 1 hour if you fail by 5 or more. So, this is more of a defensive feature, and it basically counterbalances certain things. Although this is a bonus action, and we have one of these features down here that says, as a bonus action, reaction, or legendary action, or similar effect that paralyzes, petrifies, stuns, or makes unconscious. We are petrifying, so we're going to go ahead and pop this in because we do need to take this into account. As you see here, we're going from 135 bonus to 145 to 135. We are getting that negative modifier in place here. So we can take this into account. Now, let's finish up with our damage here. So we're going to have to do rounds of combat because our volcanic burst can only technically be done one on the first round of combat. We're going to be doing 72 points of damage there, and because the damage doesn't really matter, our boulders technically do more, but they have a less chance to hit. It doesn't really matter. Well, fine. All right, fine. You've convinced me. I'll do the 65 instead. We have just the right amount of damage for the actual DPR of our monster, and let's review our adjustments here. So we have 1 AC, 1 marker above what's expected. We do have the 1 immunity, and we also have the 1 bonus action that allows for petrification. So all in all, we are getting a total of minus 20% to our hit points. Now, drum roll please, which I'm not going to add in. We have an adjusted hit points of 156, and our sheet here shows us an adjusted of 175. Fascinating. Let's remove the bonus action effect here and see what our rate is now, 175. So, this is a slip-up. They didn't add in the bonus action for petrification here. This is very important because if a creature fails by 5 or more, we can petrify. I believe the fire giant should at least be 156, not 175. So if I were to be playing the fire giant, I would bring it down to that extra amount. Now, if we're only doing, sword attacks here, let's add this in, but because we have the chance to do boulders and it averages out to a 9, we don't necessarily need to add this in. If we are only using the sword and we have no way of chucking boulders, then the adjusted hit points should come down even further to 136. But if we are chucking boulders, then this is important, and we can take the adjustment here off, and our fire giant should have unadjusted hit points of 156. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the proper hit points, not what's printed here for the fire giant because of the petrification clause here. And yeah, beyond that, it also causes poisoned, but it is only 1 round of combat unless they are petrified. So in any event, maybe that's why they didn't add it in. So who knows? I don't know. I kind of think that because of the petrification could happen, this is a cause for concern. Who knows? Give or take, it's probably fine. What's the difference here? 175, so we're looking at what, 19, roughly 19 hit point difference? May not be that big of a deal. But in any event, this has been your Goblin GM Andrew looking at the Fire Giant from Tales of the Valiant, a CR9 monster for your games here. All in all, this is probably a perfectly balanced monster. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to my channel members, and for anyone that has made it this far into the video, thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.